Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Inside Artesian Basketball here on WREP 15 Sports. I'm your host, Eric Meyer, joined as always by Lady Artesian Head Coach Jessie Johnson. Martinsville, a couple of games since we last talked. A tough one on the road at Center Grove on a Tuesday night. You come back, though, with a bounce back on a Friday and get a big win against Mid-State Conference rival Plainfield at Plainfield's Place. With the holiday coming up, that means holiday tournaments. Martinsville's involved in a couple of those, and so we've got a lot to talk about here on this show. We'll get right to it. The Center Grove contest. This is kind of a homecoming of sorts for you. You started your coaching career as a freshman coach at Center Grove, and you're facing a team that you knew you would probably see in the sectional. If you wanted to win the sectional, you're probably going to have to play them. So you aren't showing a whole lot. In the end, Center Grove comes out with the victory over you guys to end that big winning streak that you guys had.
Mm-hmm. Center Grove's a great team. They're tough. They execute their offense and defense very well. I think that, Coach Stuckmeyer is probably very excited with how they, game planned and then how it turned out for them. I thought we played a little timid that game, and I think the girls agree. Just hearing that name, Center Grove, and kind of having that bad taste in their mouths from last year, I don't think we put our whole game together. And so, we'll look forward to, if we play them again, playing a better executed game on our side.
And you may have a chance to play them a couple more times. We'll talk about it later. You've got a tournament coming up over the break in Columbus where they're also there, so you may get a chance to play them as well, then obviously with the sectional. But in that contest, it's a game that's kind of close early. They go to their bench in the second quarter. They get into some foul trouble. They're putting a very good shooter off the bench. They kind of got loose for some three-pointers, and really it's that little second quarter where you guys had been limiting teams in their offensive production. You guys kind of got limited in your offensive production, and that's kind of the difference in the game.
After the first quarter, it was 6-9. We felt good about how he came out the beginning of the game. And then they made some adjustments. They hit some shots. I thought that we, had some lapses just mentally. Instead of, running out at the shooter, making them put the ball on the floor, we kind of just stopped short and let them shoot. And so, those are all things that we'll learn for the future when we win or if we see them again.
That's what I was getting ready to ask about, what you take away. So obviously you don't want to give away a whole lot, but in terms of, you weren't going to show a whole lot in the game, but what kind of did you learn from Center Grove in the contest?
And maybe this is not the correct thing to say, but everything that we kind of told the kids in the beginning was absolutely true. So hopefully when we watch some film later on about them, and we can say, okay, here was the original scouting report, here's what we did, what kind of things do we need to adjust next time. Hopefully them seeing it, they will understand a little better about how to defend.
Center Grove comes away with a victory on Tuesday, so you have a bounce back coming back on Friday. And this one's really, honestly, in the grand scheme of things, in the race for the regular season, this one's the important one. It's a Mid-State Conference matchup on the road at Plainfield, and it looks like maybe you were having a little bit of the effects of the loss against Center Grove to start the game against Plainfield on Friday night.
I just think that whether it was a loss that carried over or just like kind of our lack of unity, I just don't think that any five that we put on the court necessarily played together until maybe like the third or halfway through the third quarter. I thought we kind of started to click. And we've talked about that a lot this week, about how you can't show up to a game like that or having these assumptions about a team, and Plainfield came out and gave us a great effort, and we were just lucky enough that in the end that we made some extra plays that pushed us forward.
Able to get the win, and it was also kind of a different atmosphere. The band was there, the band was loud, and I mean I couldn't hear myself in my headphones, so I'm sure that takes some time to get used to as well.
They had a very upbeat band who was cheering when they weren't playing. So I think that, that affected our kids a little bit. I think that the defensive intensity that Plainfield brought kind of shocked our kids in the first quarter or so also. So again, things that, we'll learn from and hopefully get better as the season progresses.
And it's a little bit of a different shooting environment too, with the openness behind the baskets as well, that sometimes gives some teams some issues as well.
It's definitely not a shooter's gym, and they have those bleachers behind both baskets that it's just probably different than we've seen so far. So
able to respond, though. You guys fell behind big, really, at one time, double digits on a couple of occasions, but able to start chipping away, and then eventually able to pull it out. What's the difference in your mind that allowed you guys to come away with the victory on Friday?
At halftime, if you can imagine, I was fuming a little bit.
No.
No, not me. And so, I just told the kids, I was like, there's nothing else that we could do, say, yell, that's going to get it through your mind that, you're better than how you're playing. And so I thought that there were some leaders that stepped up in the locker room that, kind of got everybody together. And I thought, coming into the third quarter, we really kind of got a grasp on that throughout that quarter, and then just kind of took it a little further that fourth quarter.
Able to come away with the victory. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights for the win over Plainfield. And you see down here early on to the Quakers.
Yep, Bethany taking it coast to coast, which is, what she's good at. And here she is, picking off the ball and pushing the ball up to Patience, who, again, Patience finishes with some contact. Paige with a big rebound put back for us. And this was all in the first half when, we weren't necessarily playing extremely well.
Defensively, too, you kind of the defense loses a little bit of mention in this one again, but again, it's your defense that's keeping you in this game, really.
Absolutely. We struggled to score a little bit in that first half and in that second quarter, but overall, the big picture, you see that we definitely are getting defensive stops.
And they've got 22 points here in the second quarter. They don't, where they scored 13 maybe in the 12 in the second half, something like that.
Here we are pushing the ball, which again I think is one of our strengths, especially one of Patience's strengths. And I think that that second half we kind of put on the press, which definitely kind of helped turn the game around for us.
Just got to make some baskets to get into it, and that's kind of also what allowed you to do that.
Exactly. I thought that I don't think we were ever necessarily selfish, but I think that we are continuing to make the extra pass and to take just better shot opportunities than we had in the first half.
And it was their defense that looked like a little bit. They kind of forced you out of some things early on, tried to get you off the three-point line a little bit.
And I think, we kind of attacked the correct gaps in the second half. We pulled up for jump shots instead of trying to take it all the way, which again is something that we were or have been preaching to our guards, is to kind of recognize that. That's a great athletic play by Patience, kind of catching and tipping it over to Marlena to get the layup.
And you saw a couple of times where Patience had some of those moments in the game with her passes to find Marlena. And we've seen it out of Patience before. What I've been impressed with is Marlena's ability to be able to catch and finish is really kind of improved if you've seen her and watched her play, and just wondered how much that has improved here over just this year for you guys.
Me just having, kind of access to her since June, I think that she's made huge strides for us. She's been very consistent this past couple, 3, 4, 5 games, and we just hope that, she kind of continues with that. Just both offensively and defensively for us.
Obviously, because I think what you see is what is able to happen. Patience is going to draw some attention when she gets in the lane. Bethany's going to draw some attention. Gracie's going to draw some attention. But for them to be able to get it to even Paige as well, to be able to hit down those short jumpers, and you're kind of seeing the evolution of the team, like you said, sharing the basketball a little bit that allowed you guys to get the win.
Marlena and Paige, they are both capable of hitting 15-foot jump shots, 10-foot jump shots consistently, and our guards as well. If, they're going to draw that help side to dish it off to them, we encourage that. I think I've said this before, but, our team, it really excites me that you never know which ones are going to, kind of lead you in scoring that night. All 5 of our starters are capable of doing that. And so I think that, it just makes us a little bit harder to guard.
Able to get the win over Plainfield, and that keeps you alive. Like we said, it's an important game in the fact that when you look, everybody gets to play in the state tournament regardless. So what are you playing for during the regular season? A conference title, that obviously keeps you right there in it with the win over Plainfield.
These girls they're ready to, compete for that, to win conference this year. And so to put us 4-0 right now with 3 conference games left, we feel that we're in a great position, and, just looking forward to the next one.
Got a game coming up, a non-conference matchup on Thursday night on the road. It's another sectional opponent, potentially, and a little bit more maybe added drama to the mix. The fact that you're going to play Franklin Central, and it's former coach Vince Sorbonne is on the bench for Franklin Central, and maybe more important from the fact that he's sitting on the bench and knows some of your kids have been in the program. he's got one of the best players in the state, and Rachel Luby, that's on his team as well. But so how are you guys trying to approach this game a little bit? I know it's going to be, I don't want to use the word awkward, but I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of a rivalry and a little bit of something going, some emotion going on, the fact that these girls have been in his program for a while and now they come back. So a little bit of drama, if you will, maybe coming into the game on Thursday night.
You know, I think, you know, for me and the coaching staff, it's just kind of like every other game. You're right. I think that the girls will have emotion, and it'll be kind of like a new rivalry for us. And so, you know, but at the end of the day, you're looking to play a game, you're looking to win a game, and you're looking to, you know, see if we see this team in the future in the sectional, you know, what are we going to do to beat them, you know, not only this first time, but the second time. And so, you know, we're approaching this week at practice normally, and hopefully, you know, kind of having our emotions in check to some extent.
Also learning experience for the kids, because those are some of the things that you're going to run into, those more experiences you can expose them to before they get to the tournament when emotions are really, really high. That's got to help as you get in ready in preparation to play in sectional play.
Absolutely. We talked, you know, in the past about how, you know, we respond to losses, and maybe we want to, you know, be a little bit better responding to those if we, you know, come across any more. And I think that, you know, we play a tough schedule, and so every learning experience that we can give our kids now is just preparing us for, you know, late January.
Franklin Central, the opponent, we talked about a little bit of the storylines, if you will. If this was, we're doing the big broadcast, that's obviously the huge storyline is with the former coach Vince Rabone on the bench, but we mentioned also with they've got some kids, Rachel Luby, who's very well, I don't know if she's hurt or she's still playing for Franklin Central, but what do you expect out of the Flashes to be able to see them to try to do offensively and defensively on Thursday night?
Offensively, you know, when Rachel Luby gets the ball, they're very good. She is hard to stop. Defensively, I've seen a little bit of everything out of them. So we have just prepared our kids to, you know, be ready to make adjustments in game. But, you know, I think it's a team that we can compete with, and, you know, hopefully it falls in our favor on Thursday.
You got a game Thursday, and then you have a quick turnaround. You've got a game Friday as part of the Manual basketball extravaganza they're doing for girls basketball. It'll be at Manual High School. I think it's a 2 o'clock game on
2 o'clock, yes.
2 o'clock game on Friday afternoon. So you guys will be getting out of school a little bit early to head up there to Manual to play against Chicago Marshall, a very good ball club in Illinois. What are you guys expecting or trying to get out of this experience going there on Friday at Manual?
I've watched a few of their games already. They're very athletic, very quick, fast up the floor. I think, you know, but again, this is one of those other learning experiences. It'll be a little bit of a different team in terms of just their athleticism than we've played. And so, again, we're just exposing our kids to, hey, this is another kind of team. Let's adapt and figure out, you know, how to be competitive in a game like this.
Like we said, that's a quick turnaround. Thursday night on the road, Franklin Central, come back. Last day of school, everybody's going to be squirrely. It's the term we use around here anyway. You guys at least are going to get out of school early and be able to go play on that afternoon. The Christmas comes up, but you guys aren't done playing basketball. A few days off, and then you've got a huge tournament over at Columbus.
You know, is it ideal that we play at 7:30 at night and then turn around at 2 p.m.? Probably not. However, you know, kind of that quick turnaround is what we will experience a week later at the Columbus tournament. So we'll have 3 games in 24 hours in that tournament. So again, it'll just be how our kids can adapt to that and kind of preparing us for that big tournament coming up.
And that's a big tournament in terms of there's a lot of good teams there as well.
Absolutely. A lot of just pretty like powerhouses all throughout the state. There's some teams from up north, from way down south. So again, just new opportunities to see teams that we would normally not be playing.
And you guys get the draw. That's on. Is it on the 27th? Is that when it is?
27th will be our first game. Yes.
And that is against Zionsville,
Zionsville.
correct? And what other teams? Is it round robin, or how do you? What other teams potentially are you going to be able to play there on during that tournament?
So the second game we'll either play Center Grove or Elkhart Central. And so we'll play, you know, whether we win or lose, we'll play one of those teams. And then on the opposite side of the bracket, there's Mooresville, which is a conference opponent, Columbus North, which we've played before, Evansville North, and East Chicago Central. So testing my memory a little bit. But again, all good basketball teams. They all have very strong traditions of girls basketball. And so, you know, regardless of where we end up playing or who we have as our opponent, I think it'll be 3 tough games.
So as you look back here, we won't talk to you for a few weeks in terms of on the show. So as you look back, you got a couple of games really left before the Christmas break hits, evaluate where you think your team is, where you think they're going, and what you need to do to be successful and ready when the tournament comes around?
You know, going into Christmas break, I think we just want to continue ramping it up, I guess, if that's a term that you understand. I just think, you know, we're going to start playing some tough competition, not only this week, but next week or after Christmas. And I think that that's going to continue in January. So we just want to be playing our best basketball at the end of January. And so we want our kids to, you know, just continue to get better, continue to work as a team, and just to make those little improvements as we go.
All right, it's awesome. I appreciate it, Coach.
Yeah,
Good
thank
luck
you.
coming up.
Thank you.
That's Artesian head coach here, Jessie Johnson, on Inside Artesian Basketball as the Lady Arties. Winning streak comes to an end, but they get right back on one with a big win over Plainfield and will look to continue it. Game coming up Thursday, Franklin Central. Then they go to Manual on Friday. Games over the break as well at Columbus North. To get a chance, get out and check the Lady Artesians out, as they have been playing very well this season for the head coach. For the head coach, Jessie Johnson, along with the RTV2 class who produced it, I'm Eric Meyer. We'll see you again next time inside Artesian Basketball.